This is my new look and skin. That is my house. Suck it. Hey guys! T-Man Dude 291 here as the Redstone Professor, and today I got something really cool to show you. So we got ourselves a bit of a torch path, and we're just gonna go ahead and follow it a little bit. But as you can see, this is kind of a long thing. But you might be wondering, why did I stop here? Well, it's because this torch path is a phony. There's a nice little hidden secret here, hidden in plain sight. So we just toss a button, and ta-da! Secret base. All ready to go and to run into. Nice amount of stuff. Awesome, really cool things. So, of course, there's a room down over there. Don't worry, we're going to be getting down over that real quick. But first off, we need to make sure that nobody else can find our secret base. Because if everybody else finds it, well, it's a secret. So, let's grab a button. And nobody is going to be able to find the entrance. So then, if we do enter inside the little base here, we'll find that we have a nice amount of stuff. We have something up over here. There was a zombie in this cage before, now there no longer is, and I don't know why I still got rain particles on me. That's odd. Maybe because I'm just dripping wet, but... Huh, okay. We run down over here, we got ourselves some chickens, and we can open up the gate and go in there if we want to. Basically, these chickens are just laying their eggs. Those eggs collect down below them, running through hoppers into this chest here. And of course, we have a crop system, which, that's nearly done for almost everything. Like, there's one little one that's just not up to par, but that's fine. So we'll just go ahead and flick this. And that's supposed to clear away all the crops, but looks like we had a bit of technical difficulties. I apologize on that. So, Yep, alright. Probably should have did some more testing before recording on that, but hey, what are you going to do? I think some of the stuff at least collected there, right? Some of the stuff at least got in? Yeah, some of the stuff at least got in. Mostly 10 seeds, some wheat. So, yeah. Needs a bit more work done. Anyways, and then of course, up over here, I was going to try in order to do a bit of a celebration. But as you can see, well, this short little contraption, kind of nutty. It's the fastest ticking infinite burnout system I could ever come up with. Me and a friend of mine discovered this by accident, but if you place a torch on one end and a torch on the other end, place blocks above them, and then place redstone over, then it will cause tons of burnout back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. However, one of the things you're going to want to make sure to do is that if it burns out once, destroy both the torches, then place the torches in the exact orientation that I have them here, and it will run indefinitely. So we're just going to place a little bit of redstone here, and just going to fire off some fireworks. And, you know, that'll just run indefinitely, because screw you. Yeah. So, bit of a butcher, but hey, I don't mind. But at least I know that this still works. Press this button here. Get it to open up, and we drop on down. No harm done. Nobody is the wiser. So then, this right over here is where I actually had the design. I'm going to see if I can get into fly mode here. It's being a little bit difficult. So now I have fly mode, and we're able to see how this works. So this design that you see right here is the exact same design that went inside there, minus the reopening of the door. And both these two designs I'm about to show you don't have the door reopen, mainly because I have no idea how I got it to work in there. I think it has something to do with redstone ticks. It's going to be testing that I'll be doing later. But basically, so this was the prototype design that I came up with, and then I ended up, and then funny enough, after I did this and when I was going to record it for the first time just with this prototype design, Mumbo Jumbo released a video doing something very similar and showed off a pretty interesting way in order to do it, but he didn't have something I came up with on the back end. So I decided that I would incorporate both of our designs into a single design, which is over there. So basically how this works, I'll walk you through it real quick, is it simply starts off with this minecart hopper on top of a detector rail, in which case then you have a redstone comparator coming off of the actual minecart. So when the minecart is filled with an item, and it can be any item, I just happen to use buttons because it's enjoyable, the redstone comparator sends off a signal into this block. That block transfers that signal out to here. Now then, the signal is very weak. In fact, it's only like a level 1 signal. So that will put, however, it is enough in order to push out this piston, which of course removes this redstone block, turning off this entire redstone circuit, which does multiple things. First thing it does, it makes the redstone travel over here, which turns on these torches. Those activate the pistons. Those pistons fire up and creates the first part of our staircase. And that takes care of the entire lower half. No crazy explanations needed. The lower half is around 7 by 7 with a drop at the 4. So it's really, it's a short, very simple design, and you're going to end up going underground a bit by at least 4 at the most. Anyways, the other redstone signal travels over here, which deactivates this piston, which pulls back this redstone block, which activates this redstone, which deactivates this torch, activating this torch, and then deactivating this torch, which, again, this torch moves on to do multiple things, part of which is this circuit over here, and then the upper circuit, which handles the door. The upper circuit's easier to explain of the two. Basically, redstone travels through here, goes down over here, deactivates this torch, activates that torch, deactivates this torch, activating this torch, and then deactivating this torch. That runs to the redstone signal and goes to a standard single flush wall of a door system. Then, of course, the other thing we have happening is we have a redstone signal traveling over here that activates this redstone, activating this repeater, which is set to 4 ticks, that goes into a pair of pistons. Now then, of course, these pistons, one of them you can see, the other one you cannot see because it's right above it. And then, of course, we also have a double extender that's quite standard. You have the 2 ticks here, the 4 ticks here, and it travels over, hitting this tick here. Oh, sorry. Basically, redstone travels in, activating this, which activates those ticks, and of course you also have the 1 tick on that block there, which transfers over to the second piston, and of course the other one handles the top. Now then, I ended up discovering that there's a little interesting thing, and I'll get into that later, when it comes to that upper design. So basically, it fires these 2 up, the double piston extender goes out, and then the single piston extender goes out, and the door opens up. Now then, the reason why I did it in this format was because I couldn't seem to figure out how to get a double piston extender and a single to work in the configuration that I was hoping to go for. However, like I said though, after I completed this and after I did the original recording, was going through editing, Mumbo released his video, which actually does a double piston extender on the ground, but only does a single block in the back. So what I decided I would do is I would combine our designs and come up with something, as well as also refine the prototype. So this over here is the combination of my back-end prototype and Mumbo's front design, as well as with an input. So how this works is, again, we have the minecart, which, mind you, this only allows for an item to go through a single block. So keep that in mind when you're designing this, that you can't put it through 2 blocks. It has to be through a single block. This has to be underneath the ground, no matter what, at this single block line. That goes into the comparator, that goes into a block, which then travels into the redstone repeater, which then has redstone signal go out and down over here. Now, the reason why we use a repeater is because that the system needs to be far lengthier. If we didn't have this repeater here, the signal would only go out by 1, like it does on the side here, and it just wouldn't do anything. So we placed the repeater to make it go around, in which case then it leads into 2 separate circuits. One is the back end circuit, and the other is the upper end, is the front end. Now then, this is still a 7x7 area, so that's pretty cool, and it only goes down by 3 blocks. So basically, redstone signal travels down over here, hits this repeater here, which leads into this block. Now then, your signal has to be on this face that my crosshair is on. No matter what, you need the signal in order to go into that face, or else it will not work. Now then, this does 2 things. This first activates this redstone here, which activates this piston, which presses that up, and then of course it also activates a redstone signal here that travels in to the piston here to create the first part of our double piston extension. And of course it also travels over here with a redstone signal, which places it sideways. That also leads through a block, in which case then I have to go back above again in order to show you how it finishes, mainly because it's kind of a stupid thing that doesn't like working all the time, and like my fly, it's being really fucking stupid. So let's see if I can get the fly to go. Alright, so then, I got the fly back, so we can continue on. So remember, we left off with the redstone signal getting passed down through there, so that leads to, through the block, into a repeater, which leads into another block. So then, that goes down into here, where the repeater goes through... Sorry, I gotta go a little bit lower. Oh man, I'm gonna end up grounded again, aren't I? Yes, I am. Okay. So basically, redstone goes through this block to this repeater, goes to this redstone signal here, and this torch here. So this torch will deactivate. That will do its number on this bit right here, which is, of course, a dropper. Dropper puts an item into the hopper, passes it back. Now then, I use a diamond hoe just to be a bitch about it. And of course, the other thing we have is we have an upside down half slab and the redstone here. So redstone activates here, goes up to the half slab, goes over here, goes into the repeater, enters the block in front of it, and then that'll activate the piston in its front end on the upper bit. Now then, the second bit with the dropper is in order to create the retract on the extension. So we grab a comparator from there, that leads into that block there, that leads into this redstone bit here, and of course then leads to a tiny redstone bit on top, and that redstone bit leads into this block, which is what will create the double extension on the retraction. So then, now that we understand that, we can now go into the second half of the split. So again, our redstone signal originates from here, travels across, goes through split, enters repeater just for safety measure to make sure that we can go on over and deactivate this torch. Now then, this will do a few things. Hey, look at that, I actually got the fly instantaneously this time. So of course, this goes off in 2 directions. First, of course, it will activate this torch, deactivating the torch above it. I'll get into that in a second. And of course, it also activates this torch, which goes back into a much more refined version of our double piston extender. And I ended up finding this out by accident on that one, that the signal from up here actually counts for both the piston above and below it. So that's why I had to set it to 4 ticks on this, because when I was working on there, it would end up interfering with what was going on unless I set it to 4 ticks. I didn't understand it at first. However, I then realized, again, when working on here, that some blocks, depending on their placements, will allow you to go through 2 pistons. So I figured, okay, let's give it a shot and see if both pistons go, and it ended up doing so. So it created a much more compact circuit, and I was able to compact my entire problems that we're having down over there. If you remember on that design, it had to travel back oddly, then flick up in a odd zigzag staircase, and instead, this time, it's just a single line. So it makes it much easier to deal with. So basically, redstone signal goes here, activates our 0 over here, our 2 right here, which leads into this block, which then hits onto this piston. And then, of course, this one ends up being deactivated by this one. That leads this redstone signal to be deactivated, activating this, as well as this redstone deactivating, activating this, which leads into R4, which will push forward the block, which will push forward our 1 block, and will also act as the retraction on our double piston extender, which is really cool. Now then, you might be wondering, how in the world is this redstone signal coming from here to here? And that's due to the blocks. You don't have to use iron, but basically, you send a repeater signal into 1 block here, then you can be able to get a ordinary redstone signal on the other side, and that will activate a signal on this block, which activates on this. Technically speaking, though, it can also activate on this, but the repeater's already doing it anyway, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Anyways, simple plan after that is the redstone torch over here activates, which deactivates this torch, which then activates this torch, which then pushes this redstone block out of the way, which then just leads back into our standard door. Now then, I didn't put a button on this one, mainly because when I was doing the testing with this system, I ended up having failure after failure after failure of trying to get the door back open. However, after doing some research, I figured that if you put a line of repeaters down on this end, having them all set to 4 ticks, and then having the redstone connected here, then you'll be able to create a long-gated time for the door. So all you would have to do after that is just make sure that you could get the redstone signal from here to down there. So I'm going to go ahead and build that real quick and see if I can test it, and then from there I will continue the video. Alright, so I just got the construction and testing done, and it does work. So I have these all set to 4 ticks just to be safe. By my calculations, though, you shouldn't really have to. So basically, I just end up placing a button on the inside, and then has the redstone signal travel down and then run alongside this signal here, which then reactivates the entire system, temporarily opening the door, and the second you see the door open, you're going to want to hop out. So then, let's go ahead and demonstrate how this actually works. So, throw in the button, activates the signals as I all state, and of course we end up getting the single extension, double extension, and single extension, and then when we pick the button back up, we end up getting single retraction, double retraction, double retraction, single retraction. And so what I'll end up doing now is I'll show you from the inside if I can get my fly to work again. There we go. Basically end up hitting this button here, goes down, times through, and then opens up, and you have just enough time in order to run out. So that's the video right there. And so this is a design that I would recommend using indoors, mainly because you have to have some kind of a block right here. So like that's why I use the quartz for like an indoor design. You would end up having quartz stairs or maybe quartz slab so that you could still pass down the redstone signal into the double piston extender right down over here from below. And then in this design over here, since because you have like a drop down, you don't need to worry about that. So you can have it go right up against the wall if you so desire. So this is more for outdoor use and it's easier to blend in. This one, on the other hand, is best for indoor use if you want to create a secret base that's already indoors. And yes, I do realize that the secret base is kind of given away by a beacon, but hey, it's meant to be one of those things like, oh, how in the world would I end up entering there without digging? So that's basically the video right there. I'm going to clear the weather again because it's being a bonkers asshole. There we go. Nice amount of nighttime out, which works quite well. So then, if you've enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, if you're already subscribed or you just subscribed, make sure to hit that little bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. And of course, you know, as all the YouTubers say, join the notification squad today. Other than that, I do have a Patreon page, so if you feel so inclined in order to help me out, please check out my Patreon. It makes it so I can make higher quality and better content on this channel. So there's that. And of course, I also have a second Patreon for the book that I'm writing if you're a furry or if you just enjoy odd interdimensional storylines and other crap like that. Yes, I did say interdimensional. It does involve that kind of stuff. More details on that do come soon. Anyways, but if you want to support my book, you can go and check it out on that second Patreon link. Anyways, all credits to music and other crap are in the description below. And until next time, this is Team 9291, signing out.